Hi, everybody. All right, so we're going to go over what is a secondary map. Uh, we have the capability to go ahead and showcase our assets in a number of different ways with different shaders that are required to go ahead and make the utmost realism possible. So let's go ahead and go through some of the different textures so that you can understand what we're talking about. So you have starting off an albedo, which gives the color information that does not have things like shadows and highlights. We have metallic, which provides a metal style look, also provides sheen and things like that. You have roughness, which is the opposite of shininess, and so it allows for sections to be less shiny. Normal maps, which this one's a very light one, allows for secondary details. And then an occlusion map, and this one's a light one as well. And so it allows for shadows around the bottom edges and things like that. We also provide other details, other secondary maps. We have cavity maps, gloss maps, height maps, and your original texture map. So let's go ahead and look at what an original texture map looks like before you end up getting into being an albedo map. So I'm going to go ahead and turn all of these off, and I'll throw them back in a moment. Into your original mesh. So here's an original texture map with all of that shadow information involved. Makes it very difficult to go ahead and relight this asset. So instead, we do albedo maps. So you see, most of the lighting and shading information that was secondary has been removed. Let's go ahead and take a look at metallic map, metal-ness. It allows for some of the secondary kind of little shiny bits and things like that. You can see it really closely when you get up in here and turn it off. And then on again. And let's go ahead and look at a reflectance map. So this is your reflectivity. It gives a very subtle detail, especially when you see in some of these higher highlight areas right here. Zoom it off. And on again. Right through here. So here's roughness, and this one does a whole bunch. You end up seeing, oh, with it being not rough at all, turns it almost chrome. And so you can play with the brightness on this. Bring it down to where it gets really shiny. Or, in the case where we would like to be, up. Because while those are fairly shiny bits, we don't want them too shiny. So we go down here, make sure it looks nice. Bring it a little bit more. That's nice. Make sure our concrete still looks nice and balanced. Wonderful. Really starting to bring life to the screen. This piece. Alright, and we'll get a normal map. So you notice it adds in some high frequency detail. There's not really a whole bunch in this one. We're dealing with a high resolution mesh. If we were going from a high to low, this would be much more visible. Okay, and then we're going to put in a detail map. I tend to go ahead and put in a height map in this situation. And you get in some of these wonderful secondary details in there. So it's a little bit too much for this mesh up here. So we can bring it all the way down. Where it doesn't affect the mesh exactly the same. Perfect. Awesome. And then let's go ahead and bring in the next one, which is your occlusions. This is your ambient occlusion. And once again, if we went from a high res to a low res, there'd be much more data information, but it provides just some of that wonderful little shading that's down here. Off. And then on again. All right, and then that is a detail on these style of maps. So this is your typical metallic pipeline. You can also go through unlit pipelines, and specularity, and go through all the other secondary maps. Obviously, if if you're looking for any of the other maps that we have on here, like cavity and gloss and and things like that, your team is going to be much more well versed in these style of maps and their usefulness. So awesome. Thank you, everybody. You have a great day.